Hey there, LEGO fans. Welcome back. Alex here. Well, the moment has finally arrived. The Venator is not only here, but it is complete, and it is the moment in this video that I got to put my money where my mouth is, because I've been saying for months that this thing is going to somehow fit on these shelves behind me. And these things are full, so I got to figure this out. I'm still mostly confident that I can do this, not as confident as I was before this thing was built, because look at this thing. It is huge. And you know, the fact that these supports are so far apart, I got some doubts. Oh my gosh, that's a workout. But I will say this. The build was fun. It was great. It went smooth. I enjoyed it. Now, some of you guys caught Mindy and I in our live build of this thing. We did an unboxing, and we got through maybe like 4 sections before we had to cut it off. But I did do a time lapse of the entire build, and just for fun, I'm gonna throw that in here right now. It's only 60 seconds long, so let's go ahead and do that right now. So there were several hours of build time in that small time lapse. You probably didn't notice, but about halfway through the build, I had this thing here at the edge of the table. I was putting the engines on and didn't realize that the nose or this support was kind of creeping off the edge of the table, and it fell off the table. And here's a couple of those clips here as it falls off. It was like it was going in slow motion and I just couldn't catch it. It was a travesty. Now, the damage wasn't too extensive. I was able to get this thing back together in about an hour. Most of that hour was spent trying to figure out where 1 or 2 pieces went back onto it. Man, that was not fun, but got back on track, and here it is. So let's take a moment now to take a look at this thing. And I know this thing's been out for, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so. It's not new. I'm not doing a detailed review here. I just want to take a look at this and just admire it, because this thing, I don't know what it is about it. I've been telling you guys for months that I really love the look of this thing, and I think it's mostly because it's just so different from the boring triangle of the Star Destroyers or the Super Star Destroyer, because it's got this red striping in it and markings on the edges and sides. Even the underbelly of this thing looks fantastic and well detailed, even though you can't really see it. Also, love the fact that we finally get the printed plaque on this thing. So yes, no big massive sticker going on an 8x16 plaque. They are printed. I know this isn't new, but to me it is actually pretty new. So very excited to actually see that. Yeah, the 2 minifigures of this thing, Admiral Yularen and Captain Rex, very, very cool to have them on that display there as well. I think I'm actually going to keep them on the display. I'm kind of tempted to take them and put them in a display case downstairs, but I might try to keep them with the ship. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty of this and try to put it on one of these shelves, I thought it'd be kind of fun to compare this thing just briefly with its predecessors, mainly the 2002 Star Destroyer and the 2019 Star Destroyer. Now, I know this is a completely different class, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to see them side by side. Place the Venator here right between the 2 Star Destroyers. Remember, this one's from 2019, retailed for $700. The Venator is $650, and this guy was, back in 2002, $300. Now, I want to say, though, that if the Star Destroyer from 2019 suffered from the price increases, it would easily be $750. So I think we can safely say there's a $100 difference between these 2 particular sets. However, I will say that I was surprised when I set it down next to the Venator how much bigger it was than the Venator. Now, the Venator's going to be lower to the ground. It's not as high up there. but it is still quite larger than the Venator there. I know it's slightly longer. I don't know how much longer, maybe an inch or so is all. I didn't look up the measurements actually, but it is maybe, I don't know, 44 inches where the Venator is maybe 43. Don't quote me on that. But one thing I will say though about the Venator is, man, it is a lot more colorful than these other two Star Destroyers. Now, don't adjust your screen. You are seeing the correct color there. This is the set or the color of the gray before they changed it around 2003 or so. So it's not too uncommon to see this same Lego set in two different gray colors. Interesting, isn't it? Now, I will say though that this suffers a lot from this crease or crack right down the middle. And the older it gets, the worse it gets, because I think we're probably seeing some droopage already with this thing. And I think it does suffer from that. So the frame inside, unfortunately, does kind of bend over time. So there's nothing that I've done on that to help prevent that, although I probably should. But no, I love the Venator. I think it looks fantastic. It is a great looking, very colorful, different. It's just different. Let's go ahead and take a look at the engines on these things because these are worth noting here. Let's go ahead and start way back in time with the 2002 UCS Star Destroyer here. Very simple, as you can see here. These are just big tires that they put on here, these big gray tires. I gotta say though, back 22 years ago when I was putting this thing together, I thought it looked amazing. And you know what? It still does. I think it's held up pretty well after these couple of decades. Of course, you got the Venator here, which is it's so cool. I love how exposed these engines are, how kind of they protrude really far out. I don't know why that is, but I think it's so cool. And this kind of section of the hull sticking out here alongside is very interesting. And it's very sturdy too. They did a good job of securing these things. Really, really nice. And of course, here is the 2019 Star Destroyer, which has a lot more detail on it, a lot more greebling, as you can see. I like it. It's nice, but you know what? There's something to be said about the original too, right? I will say this. I think the Venator is the easiest to move out of the three because with this thing, you have to take this thing off on the top and then this middle section here, like this. And then I'm going to put that down. And then you lift this up and there's its spine right here. See how empty this thing is? These guys right here, there's a lot more going on. They're still pretty empty. But this guy's got a very basic spine. It's very light. Well, for this size of set anyway. So, but yeah, you can see how easy it is to turn that thing back and forth. It doesn't have really anything underneath it to speak of. It does have this gap here, but there's no detail to it at all. Put that down here carefully. But yeah, that's how that's lifted up there, or how you'd carry that around. This one, if you guys remember, you have to remove these two panels here, or sections, and see if I can do this or not. I don't know. There we go. And then that reveals the handle. And so you can grab it right here and lift up. And oh my gosh, this thing is so heavy. Oh, yeah, okay. Put that down. But at least you can lift it with one hand, move it around, but you got to put these things back together. The Venator, though, I can't do it because I'm holding the camera, but you can lift up with both hands very carefully and set it down where you're carrying it. And I think that's brilliant. It really is. I love that. So yeah, that is a quick look at these things side by side. Now that they're missing those panels, interesting stuff. So now comes the moment, you guys. I really hope this works out because I've been talking the big talk here. Now it's time to walk the walk. So I'm going to put the camera down and I'm going to do a time lapse on it so I can be completely honest and you guys can see what I did here. So let me set this camera down and let's get started. And here it is. Here is the new display. A lot of rotations, a lot of changes, guys, but inevitably, the Venator is placed. And I didn't have to sacrifice anything to get that to work. I don't think I did anyway. So let's take a look here. Some small changes I made down here. I did promote R2-D2 up here. He was down there in that cubby by BB-8. So he's up there. I did move the AT-AT's little brother out of the way. So he is down here in his own cubby. That gave me some space. But really, the game changer here, guys, was the fact that we could take these two Star Destroyers and overhang them. I mean, look at that overhang on that. I was really fortunate with this guy that the supports are so far back that it could fit on this more narrow shelf up here. And of course, this beast here has a bigger support section under there, but I got it to fit. So it's overhanging at the rear and of course here at the front. And I don't think that's going to be too much in the way, guys. Really, honestly, I think I'll walk around here just fine without any issue because the AT-AT was there before in the middle. And I would always hit this gun right here and knock it off. It would drive me crazy. So I think, no, I will admit, they got this gun sticking out here of the Venator. And I think I'm going to hit that a lot as I walk around. So I don't know if that's going to stay there very long. But I don't know if it was done subconsciously or not. But the Venator ended up front and center. Interesting how that turned out. I wanted to get all of the Star Destroyers along the bottom here. But unfortunately, these two would not fit up top. I tried. I think you guys saw it in the time lapse there. I tried to get the AT-AT up there, but it did not work. Now, all of these four cubbies here are all the same. I think they're the same anyway. Oh, I did move a couple things in here. Yeah, there we go. These are just kind of in line for Minifig Mayhem. We'll get you guys there soon. Did a rotation up here. Obviously, this Death Star was on the other side. Star Destroyer was on the other side. We moved the Millennium Falcon over. We moved the Death Star 2 over. And these guys got moved over to this side. Now, I think the big change here was the Republic gunship. That was down below, and now it's up top. Man, that thing is so hard to fit because of that wingspan. Now, it does overhang, though. Check it out. It does overhang a little bit. But you know what? I'm okay with that. Most of the weight is at the butt anyway, at the back. So it was all right. But you know what? Did it. It worked. I knew there was a way to do this. I knew it. Now, if there's another big UCS ship coming out that's at similar size, then, well, we are going to have a different problem. But for now, I'm going to call this a victory, guys. This is a huge victory. We made it. We did it. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for following along. This was a lot of anticipation to get to this point. Well, we did it. And it is here, front and center. Love it. All right, guys, now it is on to the next project, whatever that might be. Let me know what you guys think of this and the organization. You know, is it too busy? Does it work? Does the flow work? You know, that's kind of what I'm curious about. I mean, even if you say I hate it, Alex, there's nothing much I can really do. It fits. That's what's important, right? Okay. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Thanks again so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.